Hello and welcome to our final day in this Game of the Year themed streams we've been running the last couple of days. Gamereactor live every day from 4 till 6. I'm joined today by Lee West, the Danish editor-in-chief.
Hello guys.
And through the magic wonders of the interweb, I am joined by Gillen McAllister, our UK editor-in-chief. Are you there, Gillen?
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and rest of world. Yes, I am here ready to go.
Hang on, apparently we're having a little bit of sound issues, so I'll just update the sound. Let's see.
So we're not ready to listen.
I think we can hear you now, Gillen. Welcome to the stream.
I'll try one more time. Can you hear my dulcet tones from all the way in London?
No? Apparently no.
No.
Apparently no.
It's
No.
always good to start
I can
out
hear
with
you,
stuff
but
like
Lasse
this, you
can't.
know?
So, you know what? Maybe I'll hang up and call you back, Gillen.
Talk to you in a second.
All right.
Here's that now.
Oh, you're there now. Okay, we're good. We're good. Technical issues sorted. We're live. Gamereactor live. And today, as I said, we're doing our final day of Game of the Years for GRTV. Of course, you can read the individual Game of the Years on the sites. Every site will have their own Game of the Year list for that country. But we have combined all the countries and done a GRTV one that we'll run through today. And to start out with, we're going to run through our 20 through 11. We cut it down to 20 games yesterday. And these games are in no particular order, but I'll ask you guys, Lee and Gillen, to help me comment a little bit on these 10 games that barely made the top 10, or didn't make the top 10, just top 20. So the first one on that list, but again, no particular order, is the Showdown Effect. Have either of you had the chance to play that game?
Not here,
No,
no.
we both have to say no.
I think the main defender in the Gamereactor offices for that game is Story. He really seemed to love that game.
Yeah, I think Thomas did as well.
Yeah, Thomas Bengt has played a little bit and he seemed to like it.
Understand the concept is 80s style action heroes
Yeah.
fight each other in multiplayer maps, which sounds a very interesting premise.
I
It's one
think
of
it'll
those
actually be
games
something
that
for you, but I think the reason why it's this for of course not a lot of people have played it, so maybe something that you viewers want to go check out, but also that it still has some technical issues that Dory was talking about. So hopefully they'll update those in a patch at some point.
But it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and the idea of 80s action heroes. I've only seen it at events before it was released, but it was very fun. They're very very good at riffing all that 80s stuff, so that was really awesome.
Well, I think that one good thing about this, especially with doing the 20 down to 11, it's been such a fantastic year for gaming. There's a lot of titles, I mean, we talked about this before we came on there, there's a lot of titles that we've all missed for various reasons.
Yeah.
And listening to something like this might be a good time for people to go, hey, here's some titles you did miss, and, you know, come the sales in January might be worth picking up.
Definitely. I'm kind of doing that now with the Sony games that they have their 12 Days of Christmas, and just in a couple of days I think the Steam sale will be there. So all these like sales that are happening now are a great opportunity to maybe get to some of the games that you've missed.
I think the main reason I miss a lot of these games is because I'm hooked on my iPad. So I'm basically, you know, I'm getting my dose of quirky, strange indie titles on that platform. So whenever there's a game like this, I often go like, nah, I'll wait. And then the big things like Battlefield and stuff like that, I end up playing for an hour or so just to check the quality of it, and then someone else is doing the review, and I'm putting it away and saying, yeah, I'll take a look next week, and then something else happens, and I end up with my iPad instead.
Yeah, but iOS also has a sale about now for Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah, the App Store usually closes down now for new submissions, and so it's a race to get to the top of the list. Before
you'll be
Christmas,
the top
so
all
whenever
over
people
Christmas,
open their spanking new iPads, they will go and look, hey, what's on the top list, and everybody's fighting for that. So I mean, the lowest price tier in Denmark is 7 kroner. I'm not quite sure what it is in England, Gillen. 69p or something.
Yeah, that would be it, right?
So a lot of these companies, they reduce all their offerings to the lowest tier. So at the moment is a good time to go and get stuff like Mass Effect and Battlefield and all these games for like the lowest price they've been.
All right, and you just mentioned Battlefield 4. That is actually one of the next games in our top 20. So thoughts on Battlefield 4? Just made the top 20, or made the top 20 but not the top 10?
I think, well, yeah, Gillen, go ahead.
No, Lee, you go ahead. You start with this one.
I honestly think that the reason it's not reaching the top at the moment is because it's got so many online issues, and people are getting kind of fed up with that and saying, well, it doesn't deserve to be a top 10 game because there's so many problems at the moment. I could easily see it be a top 10 game if it worked.
In a couple of months, maybe it will be. For me, it's also I'm gonna play that on next gen, and I decided to wait a little bit with buying a next gen console. So, and with the issues as well, it's like I'll wait a little bit with playing that. So I haven't really. I don't feel like I've played that enough to put that in my top list.
No, that's true.
And then this whole thing, it is a multiplayer game, so the single player doesn't really. Just like
single player looks amazing, and I enjoyed it, but still, I mean, it's multiplayer where you want to be at, and as long as they've got so many problems, you just feel like, I'll wait with nominating this as a GOTY contender.
Yeah. Gillian, have you had the chance to play Battlefield 4?
Yeah, you see, this is where I feel quite bad. We were picking up all the news about the online issues with Battlefield 4, and to be honest with you, the first few weeks of me playing it on the PlayStation 4, I did not encounter a single issue. However, when this latest update came out, I downloaded it, I hit a brick wall, and possibly every single issue that had been reported online and more happened to me. I had a situation where, after trying to sign into one of the Conquest matches, the game kicked me out of the game, back to the PlayStation 4 home screen, and then the Battlefield 4 disc ejected out of my console. It was like some great deity out there was saying, don't play it.
Don't play it.
Play Resogun instead. Play anything instead of this.
Get those 45 million.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, it's interesting to see that it's even making the top 20 with these issues at the moment. What we have here is a game that could be brilliant, absolutely phenomenal. And again, from the times that I did play it in PlayStation 4, that big 64-player conquest mode was amazing. I hadn't seen anything like it before because I'm a console rather than a PC guy. Yeah. So this is the first time I've come across this sort of online component. And that's what I was paying for. And that is actually the game out of everything, including Killzone, Rise, Forza, that I really wanted to see that could prove what next-gen consoles could do. Yeah. So I think it is true. Give it a few weeks, probably months, before DICE finally fix all the issues. The question is whether there'll be an audience after those couple of months to come back to.
Well, that's when most of the audience, anyways, get their consoles, I think.
Yeah, and I think Battlefield, just like Call of Duty, is one of the few shooters who actually have legs to last more than just the first couple of months. So it should be good to play, and I think it will be brilliant to play in the spring when we don't have a lot of games to look forward to.
No, we've got a while to wait. Titanfall and a few other big names are coming out next year, but I think there's time for Battlefield 4 to shine. Unfortunately, it's just not now.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do a list next year, most improved game of 2014. Yeah. We'll put it in there.
All right, the next game is the Stanley Parable, a little special game that Oscar talked very well about the other day. Have either of you had the chance to?
Nope. That's one of the games I would play if it was on iPad, but nope, not a PC guy.
Neither here, but Mike, our UK guy who did play it for us, has raved about it since he played it, and certainly a little push here. You guys should read the review on the UK site. Very interesting game that simply, if I had the hardware, I would definitely be on that.
Yeah, I'll see if I get around to it. It sounds very interesting, but it also sounds like it's a game you shouldn't know too much about when you start playing it. So
that's at least what I've heard as well. Yeah.
So maybe we'll just move on to the next game on the list. Another indie title or small title, Gone Home, which is also one that people say you shouldn't know too much about when playing. Have either of you?
Well, that's helpful because I know next to nothing about it.
You're going to, if you keep asking if we've played it, I'm going to say no to most of these.
A game that is Doric compared it to Dear Esther, where it's almost more an experience than actually a game. You're going home to a house and things happen. Apparently, it only takes a couple of hours, but it's a great experience. So recommendation for that out there. It's good enough at least to make our top 20. And again, maybe because not enough people have played it, that it doesn't make the top 10.
Just to check with you, Nick,
Yeah.
and certainly let our viewers know, this top 20, top 10 was compiled through the different Game of the Year lists that all the editorial
What
branches
we've
did.
done, we have. I don't know anything about what the lists are for individual countries, so that will be
so,
announced.
and it's not that.
It's
basically
nothing
just
to do with that.
our personal list
I
where
have
we said,
asked-
I feel like this.
I've asked all the editors, everybody who works at Gamereactor, to send me a top 3. Their number 1 gets 3 points, their number 2 gets 2 points, and number 3 gets 1 point. And then I've simply counted all the votes. And when we get to the top 10, that is the 10 games that got the most votes.
All right. But it's good then that the indie titles and certainly titles like Gone Home are actually getting a wider exposure that maybe a few years ago they wouldn't.
Yeah.
In fact, there's the usual question. I mean, Lee picked up there. It's games like this that you do want to see across as many formats as possible because the audience should be as big as possible to experience it.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. We did this again last year where we didn't stream it, but we made a video on GRTV for the GRTV Game of the Year and did the same thing with the votes. And actually last year's Game of the Year for GRTV was Journey. So that was also maybe not an indie title in the same way, but a smaller title that at least a couple of years ago I would have been surprised to see win Game of the Year.
I think the same is the case for the Danish Game Awards. That was The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, no one really expected Telltale Games to pull through like they did. And I think it's been a good year for smaller games.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, on to the next title, Tearaway, in the top 20, but not in the top 10. Gillian, you talked about you've been playing that.
Yep, I'm a latecomer to the PS Vita crowd. I picked one up just there last weekend because I'd given up trying to pick up an Xbox One in this country. Had my money, thought I want a new piece of tech to play around with, and every single press trip I've been on this year, people have had Vitas. I've talked endlessly about how cool the actual handheld is, how many great games they are, and Tearaway was one of those games that was building up quite a lot in the months leading up to release, and we'd interviewed Media Molecule. Picked up a Vita plus Tearaway bundle pack, sat down with it, and I'm stunned by it. It's gorgeous. I still can't believe you're getting an experience like this on a handheld. I'm coming from the 3DS sort of side of things, which, while the games are always phenomenal, obviously the graphics aren't quite matching anything else out there. Tearaway is a game that really utilizes every single touch interface control scheme that the Vita offers and does it in such a beautiful, unique way. It doesn't feel like a quick cash-in by any means. Media Molecule, it's not even Media Molecule, the whole team. I mean, there's a very small amount of people working on this game. Put together something that just basically, that's the game you will hand someone a Vita and go, look, you want to know what's the reason for all these Vita inputs? This is the game to try out. Beautiful, beautiful game.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel tacked on as far as I could understand from our reviewer.
No, not at all, not in the slightest. There are games that use touch interfaces with just the sort of throwaway feel to them, like we've just typed this on so we can tick that box on the back of the retail to say that we have touch interface here. This, not at all. Every single, I mean, you're going to get hand cramps from using the rear touchpad plus the front thing, but last night I dressed a pig in a big moustache and a beautiful bow and big old googly manga eyes, and I had a wonderful time. And to think, 24 hours previously, I was shooting people. I was trying to shoot people in Battlefield 4 if I could get the game to work.
All right, great. Yeah, a lot of people's, I think, not only maybe a lot of people's favorite Vita game of the year, maybe the best Vita game we've had so far. I think it will be on a lot of lists. As you say, really shows off the hardware.
Yeah, it's just a shame that it came out at the same time as the new console launch. I mean, this is what's happened to Super Mario 3D World as well. But I think at least Mario's got enough of a presence that you'll still know about that game, know about that series on outlets or whatnot. Tearaway, unfortunately, feels like it's going to turn into one of those cult classics.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a cult classic by any means. It should be a mainstream success.
Yeah, I also think this would have made the top 10 if more people had played it. I think very, very few people, even in Gamereactor, has actually had the time to delve into Tearaway. All right, another small title is in our 20 through 11. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Another little short game that Bengt was one of the people who really recommended. Have either of you had the chance to play that?
I so wanted to.
Yeah.
But it looks so good.
Again, one that did slip me by, but Banked has been singing its praises ever since it came out. And no spoilers for our own particular Game of the Year list here in the UK, but it has made some of those lists. And that's the strength of the story and the strength of the tale and how it mixes narrative with actual gameplay. And I love the concept behind it where you got 2 sticks and 2 brothers could control. I mean, your mind's going to melt just trying to incorporate that across the adventure. But great game, original concept. I'm totally behind playing that.
Yeah, same here. I haven't had the chance to play it yet, but I have bought it and I'll play it maybe this weekend, but at least over Christmas. It sounds great. I'm really worried actually about the whole 2 sticks and 2 characters, but it sounds like it works great. So.
Well, that's
Nick,
what you should
just-
ask us.
Yeah.
If we have bought it instead of if
Yeah,
we have
that
played
should
it,
be the
because
question.
then we could say yes all the time, going like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I haven't played Gone Home yet myself either in a couple of these games, but I've bought them, so I've made my list now, and I'm ready for the Christmas break to catch up on some of these games. All right, next game, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. A lot of people say this is the best Zelda game in a long, long time.
Do you know the reason why they're saying that? Because it's basically a link to the past replicated on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's rather unfair. That's unfair because I actually give it a really good review,
Yeah.
and I think that's exaggerating it slightly. But what it does, it incorporates the world map from A Link to the Past, the SNES classic. So it's set within the same time frame. You don't know exactly how many years past the events that concluded the SNES game. But it takes the world map, it takes the areas, same layout areas. Like you could do it almost blindfolded, where you start off in your house, and if you need to get to, say, the Lost Woods, you know where to go immediately. But it dabbles with the dual worlds mechanic, whereas in A Link to the Past, it was Hyrule and the Dark World, the darker version of that world that sort of overlaps each other. This one has a Dark World mechanic where you slip between dimensions by turning 2D and finding these little cracks that appear all through Hyrule. Slip through them, you come out to the alternate version of Hyrule. I think it's called Lorule. And it's one of those games that gets better the more you play it because, like I said, first hour or so, it's so similar to A Link to the Past, you feel like they've just remade it without actually telling anybody. But one of the big parts of it is that is a contentious issue and has led to people either weighing in its favor or not, is that the dungeons no longer contain weapons. So a big part of the dungeon crawling in Zelda games previously was you work through part of the dungeon, you reclaim a weapon, that weapon will then allow you to complete the dungeon, and then each subsequent dungeon will escalate the complexity of the puzzles because you're not only having to wield one weapon, you're having to wield 2, multitask stuff. This game, all the weapons are available immediately from a merchant who takes up residency in your house. So you have to actually rent them out for like 200 rupees, or you can buy them outright for like 1,000 or 800 rupees. Now, the idea is if you die at any point and you've only rented those weapons are reclaimed by the salesman and you have to go back and rent them out again. So it does add that sort of spice. I found previously Zelda games are easy to an extent that you never really worry about dying in them. This one, simply because you have to backtrack. So you'll have to backtrack out of the dungeon. You can fast travel back to your home, but to go all the way back there, pay up the money, get the weapons to go back into the dungeon and get yourself to the point that you got to previously just before you died was incredibly annoying.
But you only rented weapons? I know for like a much larger price, you can actually buy them as well and not lose them when you die.
You can buy them now. The way it works is when you're wandering around Hyrule, attacking enemies or cutting grass, you'll pick up like hearts or rupees. That's the norm. In A Link Between Worlds, those rupees there's much more of them now. You get a lot more for your buck, basically. So if you're walking from your home to a dungeon, you've maybe collected 250 rupees easily. Now, I was talking to Martin, Gamereactor Germany's editor, who had finished it as well, and he had said very early on he had got to a point where he had managed to buy several of the weapons he needed, and he didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just spending my money foolhardily, but I always find it a particular issue even late on into the game.
Okay. But I like that there's different approaches. Do I want to rent or do I want to buy? Because you could rent and have all the weapons, but then you can't.
Yeah.
You have to be afraid of dying, or you can be like, I'm just gonna buy what I really need, and have that, and then I don't have to worry about it.
But that was another problem, though. By virtue of implementing that system, Nintendo had to make sure that every single dungeon in the game could be completed with just one weapon.
Oh, that's true.
Like I said, the sort of escalating difficulty of previous games is what made those dungeon crawlings so enticing, because you had to swap between multiple weapons at specific points. Here, I mean, I think for the most part I got through with a bomb, hook shot, and a bow and arrow through the dungeon, and it's like, no, this isn't. The dungeons themselves are great, but I would like to be sit there and stuck a lot longer than
I get that.
seconds or so.
But it's great to see Nintendo make, even though it's very close to A Link to the Past. It's a new Zelda, and it's not just like we had the Wind Waker remake or update, and we had the Ocarina of Time remake, and that it's actually a new adventure. That's really nice to see.
And even if it's close to the old one, it's based on one of the best games ever.
That's a good point. Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Civilization 5, Brave New World, the expansion for Civilization 5. Hardcore strategy.
Not me.
I think we should be glad, because I think this is the last one on the top 20 list that neither Lee or I have played. From this point on, we can talk about stuff in more detail. But unfortunately, I'm the same way. Civ 5 passed me by. That was one Mike, my PC guru over here in the UK, played to death, loved it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the games where if you love this sort of game, this is an amazing game. But I think it is very hardcore and very demanding of you to get the full experience out of it. So you really need to delve in. So I think few people feel they have the energy or the time to really, spend the time on a title like this. All right, let's move on to the next one. I know Lee can say things about this. Lego City Undercover.
Oh yeah, I love that game. Basically because I've always enjoyed sandbox games, and this one was one that felt like a huge sandbox, and at the same time it felt like Grand Theft Auto without any of the violence and hookers and blood and drugs and stuff like that.
Wasn't that what you liked in GTA actually?
Oh well, that's because it's there, you know. But I think it would be really nice to have an alternative also for the younger players that really enjoy sandbox games. And I think Lego City Undercover delivered that. It had a quite funny story, and it had such warm humor all the way through it, and I just enjoyed running around in this huge world. Have you played that one, Gil?
No, I haven't yet. I've sort of Legoed myself out, given that many games have come out on that many franchises the last few years. I'm just like, I need a break.
I completely understand that.
Lego.
But at the same time, I think this one and to some extent Lego Marvel Superheroes did something different. I mean, first of all, this is a single-player game. I think that's first time in ages I've seen that for a Lego game. So no split screen, nothing. But it's at the same time a really well-defined sandbox game. And I think most of the other games have felt a bit like it's a closed-off area, and now you're getting to that scene and having a bit of fun, and then you're moving on. This just felt like GTA.
All right, but let's move on to the next one, Gil. I think you have things to say about that. Fire Emblem: The Awakening, our final
Fire Emblem
game that didn't make the top 10.
The game that didn't make the top 10 did make it into my 3DS in the form of a demo. Played it, deleted it, and then avoided the game like the plague. Not that I didn't like it, completely the opposite. Loved it to death, but I realized that it was the type of game that would mean a time sink that I couldn't afford. That I would not see the outside world, nor work probably through playing it. It's a phenomenal turn-based strategy RPG that I would fully recommend you take 2 weeks off, buy it, then play it. Fantastic game, one of the best games, not just on handheld, not just on 3DS, but I think one of the best games this year. And again, I think this underscores just how good a year this has been for video games, that one of its best didn't even make the top 10.
Yeah, and great for handhelds. We have both Zelda, Fire Emblem, and Tearaway in the 11 through 20 here. Great handheld games.
I'm actually surprised that Killzone Mercenary missed that list.
Yeah, I think that actually was our number 21.
Yeah.
And I really defended that.
Exactly. I think it did so many things right, and you actually finally felt like you. First of all, you finally had a good shooter on the Vita,
and on any handheld actually, like dual stick shooter on the go. Yeah, yeah, and like we also had Animal Crossing, which just didn't make our list. Where a lot of people are.
I would put that down as well. It's one of the best ones this year.
Really great for both handheld systems.
Guacamelee didn't
Guacamelee, another great handheld. Yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna run through these games again. So 11 through 12 for us, the GRTV Game of the Year was Showdown Effect, Battlefield 4, The Stanley Parable, Gone Home, Tearaway, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, Civ 5: Brave New World, Lego City Undercover, and Fire Emblem Awakening. And before we get into our top 10, we're just gonna take a look at our super special Resogun competition on the PS4. If you have PlayStation Plus, you'll get it for free. If not, you can buy it. And we decided to ask Housemarque if they couldn't provide us with a little bit of a prize. So they did. You can win this. I think Les is finding it. We have some artwork that you can win. And what you need to do is add Gamereactor Live on PSN and then play single player arcade mode on Experienced, and I'll just find the PS4 controller, and set the best score. The highest score in our friends list, which is not an editor, which basically means which is not R2, or who is not R2, will win this lovely artwork that you can see on the TV behind us here. And we'll just see here, of course, R2 is still the number one on our friends list. But number two, and so far the winner, leading at the moment, is Cypher from Denmark. He's with 26 million. So you still have about 24 hours. Tomorrow when we start the stream, we'll check the score, and at that time, the person who has the highest score will win the artwork. And as I said, what you need to do is play single player, Experienced, and be friends with Gamereactor Live on PSN, and then you have a chance to win this artwork. So maybe what people should spend the evening doing for a chance to... but I will say 26 million.
It's a great game. You sit down for 5 minutes, and then suddenly 2 hours have passed.
Yeah. Yeah. So good luck to you guys out there, and we'll see who wins tomorrow. And with that, we'll get into... Where did I put my list again? I put it somewhere.
Maybe I've stolen it. It could be this piece of paper.
No, it's here. I stole it here. Okay, that was Resogun. And now we'll get into the exciting stuff. Number 10 on the GRTV Game of the Year list is Tomb Raider. And Gillen, I know you were one of the defenders of this game, just like me, even though people might not think so after yesterday, where I was maybe a little bit negative on it. I do still consider it one of the best games of the year. Gillen, what can you say about Tomb Raider?
I am glad that it's made it into the Game of the Year list anyway, even if it was only in the 20 to 11. I think it's very easy for games that are released early on in the year to completely disappear from people's minds once we get round to these type of lists, because we're always thinking about the winter releases because the Christmas period is so jam-packed. But Tomb Raider now, I think I didn't catch you talking about it yesterday, but I'm not too sure whether you're going to point out the same negative aspects that I had with it. Yes, it wasn't perfect, was flawed. I thought there was too few tombs to raid. Those puzzles were brilliant, but far and few between. The enemy AI was verging on just pure stupidity most of the time. And I think that much discussed arc that happens in it, where she turns from a very naive archaeologist to a murderous survivalist, if that can be one of a better terminology for it, was handled far too quickly and didn't really resonate across the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But that aside, I had a great time playing this game. I thought the world was incredibly well realized. I think I said in my review that it felt like the designers had taken pictures of a real world setting and mapped it and designed it. It didn't feel like a level designer was going, I'm going to build this and make you go from A to B here. It felt wholly naturalistic. And combat in it was great. I thought the upgrade system was wonderful, and not enough's made out of the stealth system in it. We're used these days to any sort of stealth mechanic being go towards a piece of cover, press A to get into cover, press A again to take out of it. With Tomb Raider, it was automatic. The game decided when you were in danger and would crouch lower directly behind any cover.
Yeah, if you're near walls, you would automatically crouch. That was really cool.
Yeah, and I felt more in control of the character, and I felt more involved in the action for those points.
It's actually interesting what you say, because I felt the same thing. Even though I don't press a button to crouch, and she did it automatically, as you said, I actually felt more in control somehow.
Yes. In fact, I think there's so many things made of so many brilliant games and the mechanics that are adopted across the entire industry. I think not enough people have seen what Tomb Raider did and went, that works, let's copy that. I'd like to see that a lot more.
I basically agree. The thing I said yesterday was especially the arc thing that I thought actually was great, the whole first kill and how much it mattered, and I really felt it. But then right after, she just goes on a rampage and kills hundreds of people, and that just completely ruined that part of the game for me. So it took me time to get into the more Uncharted feel of the rest of the game, where you kill a lot of people. But I actually managed. I've played through the game 3 times, so I mean,
there you go.
I'm a big fan of it, and I actually played the multiplayer a little bit as well. Not the best part, but I think it's okay, and I'm very happy.
Interesting.
And you're getting
interesting
it for
take on
I would not be surprised to see myself playing it again on next-gen consoles here when it comes out again. And I think that's a great opportunity as well for people to play it if they haven't already when there's not a lot of games on the next-gen consoles. All right, let's move on to the next one. We did just talk about it a minute ago. Resogun is our number 9. So, thoughts on Resogun, Gillen? I saw you were high on our high score as well.
Yeah, I was on the high score table for about 5 seconds.
No, but you're actually like number 5 or 6, I think, on our Gamereactor Live account. So
it's what I love about this game. It does exactly the same thing that Geometry Wars did for Xbox Live Arcade back in the day in 360. It is a near perfect, near flawless arcade shooter. Neon infused, beautiful music, intense action. One of those things that you play it, you get into the flow of it, and you lose yourself. A game that could be played for 5 minutes or 5 hours, and you still have nowhere near perfected what you need to do in it. I mean, trying to save all the humans in the first stage, I didn't do that until a week after I started playing it. I like. I think Housemarque did a really nice interview with one of their players who had broken some particular high score barrier, and they were discussing about there's particular techniques and flows in the game that no one's really discovered even yet. Housemarque have actually built them in there, and mechanics that aren't so obvious, but it requires repeated play to actually find out those. Yeah. And I like that. I like a game is, and that god-awful cliche terminology, it is easy enough for anybody to get into, but deep enough to, spend a lot of time mastering it.
Yeah, we had that experience here in the office one of the days where some of us video guys stayed extra to just play some of the games, and people who haven't played the game before and doesn't really understand it and die a lot, they were still having fun with it, and you feel that progression, that you're actually slowly learning how the game works and what you need to do to get a higher score, and then hopefully one day we'll get to where Arthur is, where he was like, oh, the first 50 million, that's easy. It's after that it's hard, and it's like I don't see anybody else have 50 million. So.
But whenever you mention it, it's like you like the fact that it isn't as obvious what you're supposed to do. I think that was a letdown for me.
Okay.
As well, actually, not as well as you, but the whole thing is not defined well enough, I think, in the beginning. As a new player, well, of course you're having fun, but as soon as you start caring about what to do, there's no real explanation. You're having a bit of a problem with finding out why did that guy in the box die? What is happening here? I don't think it's made clear enough to the player. It's not that you were stuck or anything, but I think they could have done a better job on that. But that's about the only critique I have, because it's a gorgeous game.
I think you're right in that. There was an air of mystery to some of the things you got to do, some of the objectives you got to do to save some of those humans, because you've got destroying the keepers, but you've also got, as far as I'm aware, you have to have a certain multiplayer at a certain time for the next human to be unlocked. So there's a lot. It is baffling and confusing. And it's very odd, actually, in this day and age, to find a game that doesn't handhold you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the few games I can think of in recent history that does that.
Yeah, true. All right, I think we're gonna say thank you to Gillen for now. We'll get back to you later and call Bengt Lemne. He'll help us with the next game on our list. So thanks for joining us for now, Gillen.
Bye-bye.
Catch you later on, gentlemen. Enjoy.
All right. So I will call up.
But I think, I mean, holding hands and stuff like that, I mean, there's a difference between that and then actually providing a way to find clues to what you're supposed to do in a game. And that's what I felt I missed a bit.
Bengt Lemne. Do we have sound, Lasse? Hello, Bengt.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
Hi, Bengt.
Hello.
So, Bengt, we just got to number 8. Did you hear Tomb Raider 10, Resogun 9? Any comments on that so far?
Yeah, I mean, the live stream is lagging a little bit behind, so I didn't catch the final talk on Resogun, but yeah, that's a game that I'm one of those guys who's just getting started on it, figure out all the mechanics and stuff, and I think that it's not a perfect game, but it's one that certainly deserves mentioning.
Yeah, and I can see the guys behind the camera have already jumped ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about Resogun now.
They're showing the game that is number 8 that you're a big defender of, and our number 8 is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Yay!
Yay! Well, I'm with you on that boat, Bengt. I really enjoy that game. Assassin's Creed is great.
Absolutely, and I think it's one of those games that suffers a little bit from being an annual release.
Indeed.
I think we as editors we're faced with Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, FIFA, all these games that come out once a year, and we sometimes overlook them for the Game of the Year lists. And it's and personally, I haven't played the last couple of Assassin's Creed, so I've overlooked the series completely.
But this is a perfect place to start.
Exactly, I felt that when I was sort of looking at it from a preview standpoint, and then when I got into it, it really is the perfect place to get back on it again, and especially if you were tired of the whole sort of soap opera Desmond thing that they just went into extreme complexity. It was just extremely complex. So if that sort of thing didn't strike your fancy, then Black Flag is much lighter on that, even though it has some of that deep stuff, but it's buried in computers over at the Abstergo offices.
Yeah.
One of the other things I like a lot about Black Flag is compared to GTA 5, I think in GTA 5 you could actually travel around for a long time without finding any Easter eggs, any fun things to do.
Yeah.
And I think basically here your map is crawling. I mean, you walk around for like 30 seconds and then you see something and go like, whoo, I need to pick that up. And I love that about a sandbox game, all the distractions, and there are tons of those in this game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's about that thing. You see something very close by, and of course, I have a tendency to look at the minimap, but even if you don't, there's always something to look at close by that is interesting and where you'll find something interesting.
Exactly.
And as you said in GTA 5, especially before you sort of progressed a bit in the game, it's a little bit more barren, if you will.
Have any of you had? I heard that one of the things you can pick up is shanties. Have any of you
Oh, yeah.
kind of delved
Yeah.
into that part?
Yeah.
And can you talk
Yeah.
about how that works? Because that sounds awesome.
It is awesome, and it's one of the more difficult collectibles to get, the shanties, because they run away from you. It's little notes that are out in the world, mostly in the cities, I think, or the locations, and there's a ton of them. And you get close to them, and then they start running away, and you have to sort of follow them in this free running way and catch up to them to get them, and then it's like a radio station when you're on the boat, and you can pick
With
different
drunken sailors.
shanties.
And then you can
That's-
simply choose which songs the sailors sing
Yeah.
on your boat.
The sailors will sing songs either way, but you can also select that with the D-pad.
That's.
Well, I just
awesome.
got unlocked What You Do with the Drunken Sailor as an awesome song.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really good songs, and it's good quality, but I understand that this is one of those games where I have to put my headphones on because my wife isn't too pleased with the pirate sea shanties going on and on and on and on. I think it's, the radio stations in GTA 5 are perhaps a little more easy to fall asleep to than the sea shanties.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else we want to highlight about Assassin's Creed before we move on?
The
One
DLC?
thing that I really liked was the treasure maps.
Okay.
I don't know what you thought of those, Lee, but I really enjoyed those because those were collectibles, once again, that you had to work a little bit to get
Yes,
them.
exactly. I really enjoyed that. You had to look at the map and go like, hey, that's an old drawing. What could that be? And
Yeah,
it felt good.
the drawings were not always exactly the way you had to. Yeah, that was nice, and I could see them doing that even more so. Like,
Definitely, yes.
it was basically you got a map, and then you got the location, and then you had to find your way. But you could even have that in several steps, perhaps, if they want to expand on that
That's
concept. I really enjoyed that, and there's quite a few of those to discover in the game.
Yeah.
All right. And you said something about DLC.
No, I was just saying that so far I've seen. I know Gillen from your side as well has played that, the new Freedom Cry, and it seems like they've done a really good job at making DLC for this game. Like it's a separate adventure and 4 hours or something, 5 hours of content for a really cheap price.
It's about a character that you deal with a lot, but he's not really part of the main. His story isn't really told in the main game, so it's something that adds something, and something that you may have been wondering about, but that's sort of separate from the.
But I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, they have been talking about upping the extent of how often they put games out in the Assassin's Creed series, and I would much rather prefer them to do more DLC like this. Once in a while, come out with a DLC, and you are getting 4 or 5 hours of fun, not connected to the main story, but it almost feels like a separate game.
By the way,
I mean, we are already getting more than one game a year.
Yeah.
We're getting
Yeah.
Liberation HD in January.
Exactly. Yes.
We got the pirate game on iOS, and so they're already giving us more than one Assassin's Creed per year. But
That's true.
I'm not sure I could take more than one of the main entries.
No,
a
exactly.
year
That's what I
because-
mean.
Yeah.
by the
But
way,
I think it's nice with DLC. I also think it's nice. It's a nice way of we're so quick to move on to the next game, and I think that after perhaps stumbling a little bit in the beginning of the last generation with DLC, developers and publisher are more and more finding out how to deal with that and make it worthwhile for the players.
Exactly.
Of course, we still have the occasional sort of stuff that really does feel like bad value for the player, but it's getting better.
by the way,
And I know Gillen was complaining out how long it took to finish that DLC, so that's a good thing.
I heard something about that Aveline is in this game.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? She was, of course, the main character in the Vita game that is now coming out for PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah, I actually haven't played that content, but it's I think it's some sort of pre-order bonus on the PlayStation.
Okay.
PlayStation 4. It's included like a DLC code. I haven't gotten to that,
I haven't typed
but I
mine
think
in.
it's a nice little thing. I mean, I think it's about an hour of gameplay
Okay.
or something like that.
It
which
sounded
is,
Yeah.
nice, and for someone
It's
I played
exclusive.
through some of Liberation, I actually really liked her, and I think it's great that there's also a female assassin, and she isn't just the female assassin. She actually has a story that's interesting as well.
Yeah. And there are some female characters in Black Flag, even though it's a pirate game, so they're not all wenches.
That's
That's
good.
true. Yeah.
All right, Bengt, thanks for joining us. I think we're going to move on to the next game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and now it is time to call Fabrizia, our Italian editor-in-chief. See if she is ready to talk about number 7 on our list. So if you just joined us now, Gamereactor Live. Number 10 was Tomb Raider, number 9 was Resogun, number 8 was Assassin's Creed, and now we're at number 7.
Hey.
Hi, Fabrizia.
Hey, yeah.
Hi. What's up?
Well, we
Well,
have gotten
goofy.
to number 7 on our list, which is a game we know that you are a big fan of. Can you talk a little bit about Beyond Two Souls?
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls, yeah.
What do you think of Beyond Two Souls?
I think it's a very particular title because I think it's something that
Yeah, can you hear us?
oh, sorry.
here. We're listening.
Okay. I think it's a definitely borderline product because it's a new kind of media product that crosses the line between cinema and video games.
Yeah.
Did you play it as co-op or single player?
Yeah, in single player.
Single player, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, David Cage kind of evolves what he does with Heavy Rain and keeps doing these sort of stories that some people will complain about that it's not enough of a video game, and some people really love the experience of telling a story that's very cinematic.
I don't think that we are in front of a game, a cinematic video game. I think we are in front of something else. I don't know what it is, but it's something different, and maybe a new sort of entertainment game.
I think what I liked about it is that you had a feeling like you were playing maybe 4 hours or watching 4 hours of a movie, and then you had about usually about half an hour or an hour of something that felt like a classic game, and then you went on to watch a movie again. But in a way that, unlike like Metal Gear Solid, where you're just watching a cutscene, you are taking part of that movie you're watching. But I think he was much better this time at sort of making sure that whenever you're playing the game, you did it for longer periods of time. Does that make sense to you?
I don't understand the last part of the question.
Oh, that if you look at like the part where she's in the desert and she's sneaking, stealthing around, that you have something here that feels like you're almost playing a normal game for about an hour. I like that, and then after that section was done, you were back to the interactive movie again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It was kind of in chapters in that way that you got. I mean, of course, there were still game elements, but you're experiencing the story, and there was a lot of the, do I want to say this or do I want to say this? And
Exactly.
And then you got to areas where you would walk around and explore the area, and it was very much like most games, you could say, or like close to that. And then I think we just talked about Aveline. I think it's great to have a game where a female character is in the lead, and she's just a character. It's not, that there's some angle on it. Of course, she has superpowers, but other than that, or some sort of a power in here that makes her special. But other than that, she's like any sort of character, and I think that's great for video games as well, which tend to be very male-dominated.
What do you think of David Cage's storytelling in this one?
I think it's a very great storyteller, and he makes you. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, and I never speak English in public, and
we never speak Italian. Really don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry, you're doing great, Fabricia.
Sorry, and I think Cage use different kind of media, for example, for telling this story, because he used the typical narration from the cinema, and but it did it in a different way. I can explain it. Sorry, but I'm really nervous.
Yeah, I think but I think that's part of it. It is kind of hard to put this game into a genre, and is it? There's a lot of. I think some people will say yes, it's a game, and other people will say it's not a game at all, and that's why they love it or that's why they hate it, and maybe we'll in the future we'll come closer to finding what do we call this sort of experience. But I think it's.
I don't know. I don't know how we call this new experience. It's not cinema. It's not a game. I don't know. It's a sort of hybrid, and but I don't know what we can.
But I think either way, it's great that we have this sort of experience, and I'm very happy to see this on our list, that we have very different games, whether it's a game or not. On
that's true.
To focus, and if you hadn't tried it, I think it's. I don't know if it's it's not the best game on our list, obviously, when it's number 7. But I think it's a game that I'd highly recommend to people to try, because it is a different experience.
And if they've got a friend nearby, I mean, the other friend can join with a controller or an iPad and do that super simple mode where they basically just have to press on the screen at whatever item they want to pick up or where they want to go. I think that was a nice way to actually sit down 2 people and enjoy it. I think he succeeded in that, making sure that you as a player could get something out of it. But if you had a friend or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever sitting next to you that didn't play games, they could actually join in and be part of the game. I would really recommend, you trying the co-op.
Yeah. Fabricia, just before we end this part, how did you feel about the whole female character part? Have you missed having a female lead, and was that a big part of it for you, that you had a strong female character as the lead in a game?
I love Jodie. I think she is a very great girl, a strong person, and I love how Cage detailed her character. She is fragile, but at the same time is strong. She is strong, and I think it's very good game title. I don't know how we can say.
Yeah.
But I think it was a good start. I mean, the first 5 minutes even of the game shows that you don't mess with her.
Yeah.
She is strong.
But I think it's also because it is. I think this is how it is if it's a good character and a male as well, because I think it's great that she's female, but I could still identify with her. In some games when there's a female character, she's created in a way where I can't identify with her at all, because she is the female character, and here she feels like just the main character, and I think that's really great that David Cage understands that, and it's great for video games that we have that. All right, thanks Fabricia for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
All right, and we will get to the next game on our list, which we'll take by ourselves, Lee. Number 6 on our list is Rayman Legends.
Yes.
That is one of the games that both of us really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about Rayman Legends?
Well, where do I start? I mean, I think it's like in the old days you had Sonic and Mario, and well, in the even older days you also had Rayman, but I didn't like him in the last couple of years.
And he has come back in a big way.
He has come back now, and it's, I mean, it's totally insane what Ubisoft is doing with this game. It's got so much content. I mean, even if you want to play with friends or if you want to play alone, and it's just amazing to see what they do. I mean, sometimes you're platforming, and other times it basically turns into, I would say, a music game.
The last level in each of the...
yes. Kind of like an endless runner, but the way everything moves in time to the music is I mean, it's amazing.
It kind of feels like Guitar Hero or something that way, that you jump and then in that moment there's a beat from a drum or a guitar or something and you feel like you're almost playing the music or creating the music as you play the platforming level as well. And
then at the same time, I mean, the platforming levels as well, the one that feels like classic platforming, I mean, they have got stuff like stealth in them, and also they've got really challenging gameplay.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that game, and I think it's amazing what they actually were able to do, apart from the graphics.
Yeah.
Because
it looks gorgeous.
It looks gorgeous, and you can just see that they finally they're using their UV art.
Yeah.
In the end, they're actually able to draw something and put it in the game, and you can clearly see that it's got so much fantasy and style over it.
Amazing humor in the game.
Oh yes.
Tight, like really tight controls. You really feel like you're in control of the platforming, and if you die, you don't feel like, oh, this was the game's fault. You feel like, okay, I need to do better. Great to play through, and some levels are like, you feel like, how am I going to get through this? And then you replay them, and maybe you get back to it when you've completed, and then you get all the extras. And there's levels from Rayman Origins in there. There's like kick football extra stuff, unlocking heroes. There's so much extra stuff, and in that way, maybe we're lucky that they actually postponed the game a little bit and delayed it, because I feel like I think we've gotten a lot of extra content.
I think we've got a huge game.
Yeah. Yes. And it plays a little bit different on Wii U and Xbox 360 and PS3 and Vita, but all of them I think are great experiences and
exactly.
Worth
They're
getting.
using the strengths of the different consoles and platforms really well. And I do think in a way it's a bit sad that it's Rayman, because I'm quite sure if they had slapped Mario on this, it would have gotten that perfect score from.
You think so?
Yeah. From a lot of other sides, but it got top scores all over the place, and it's well deserved.
Well, then let's not worry about the scores, and let's just say it's a game that we highly recommend.
An amazing game.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I'm just quickly going to count through our 10 through 6 or 6 through 10. Number 10 GRTV Game of the Year was Tomb Raider. Number 9 was Resogun. Number 8 was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Number 7, Beyond Two Souls. And number 6, Rayman Legends. And before we enter our top 5, you have some highlights of yours. You want to talk about some mobile iOS highlights? Yeah.
Well, I could talk forever about iOS, and that's scary. But I just finished. Of course, I finished playing episode 1 of season 2 of The Walking Dead last night on my iPad, and that was a great game to get back to. I think Telltale are still really good at nailing the storytelling and the characters, and they still suck as ever with animations and some of the minor stutter in the game. But it's an amazing game, and played with headphones, that was just a great experience. The sound this time has really gone up a notch. I think that's one of the games I've enjoyed.
And you prefer those games on iOS?
I prefer a lot of games on iOS whenever it's on a multi-platform. I think I've actually...
But I would say I played season 1, haven't played it on iPad or iPhone, but I heard from a lot of people who played on multiple platforms that might be the way to go. That the controls work really well compared to sitting with a controller.
I think they do. I definitely prefer touching directly on the screen instead of having a cursor move around.
Yeah.
It just feels faster and more intuitive to me. And that, of course, is the case with The Wolf Among Us as well. That is another great Telltale game coming out, or out on all platforms, basically. that I enjoyed and played through on my iPad as well. I think Telltale are getting really good at making these kind of games, and I look forward to seeing what they are going to be able to do when they go for Game of Thrones and Borderlands. That seems crazy.
And last year, the Danish Gamereactor had season 1 of Walking Dead as Game of the Year.
Exactly.
So far, you've played the first episode. Do you think does it live up to the first season?
It does, but again, none of the other chapters standing alone were good enough to be Game of the Year. But combined, put together, they made a whole that actually made sense as Game of the Year. So I mean, if I've played the first episode of season 2. Who knows where it's going? So far, it seems really good, and it's got the potential to be Game of the Year again.
But we'll have to see next year, I guess.
We'll have to see, and then again, I mean, who knows? The next 4 episodes might.
Yeah, that's true.
Really be.
We only have
planned.
had 20% of the game so far, so it's hard to tell.
It is.
All right.
But in general, I think that's what I think has been quite interesting about iOS in general and Android, is that they're moving so close to delivering real gaming.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I've grown tired of endless runners and stuff like Angry Birds and games like that. I know it's what the mainstream press talks about all the time, but I mean, there has been so many great games on this one, on this format, and they're actually getting to a point now where I think that they're able to first of all make it a great retro machine. I mean, you've got Tomb Raider. Came out recently, the original one.
That's the very first Tomb Raider.
Yes.
I love that game.
It's by no means perfect on iOS. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. But that brings me to the next couple of games. That's like Lego Star Wars came out on iOS.
Is that the whole thing?
It's the whole thing compared to Vita.
Okay.
That means that you, as far as I remember, you don't have the big open world. I can't remember how it was.
But is it the classic trilogy and the prequels, or is it the Clone Wars?
That's a great thing this time, because they went freemium on that one.
Okay.
And that's normally something that makes most player run away.
Yeah.
But what they're doing here is they're giving the full episode 1 for free. And then you actually, you can buy episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as an in-app purchase.
What about Clone Wars?
So that's,
is that in there?
that would be, I mean, that's the 6th chapter, so that's the prequels and the main movies.
Okay, yeah, but they made an extra one, which was the animated series.
I don't think that's in that this one yet. I'm not sure.
But
I haven't checked all.
And I'm
the,
sure they'll
the
make room for the next Star Wars films when they come out.
Of course. So, but another game that really blew me away, and I think that's especially funny because I didn't like that the first way around, was GTA, Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas.
So that's the old PS2 GTA.
Exactly. And at that time, I felt they're trying too hard to be, really badass, hardcore boys in the hood kind of game, and I didn't enjoy it that much. And also, I mean, they were trying to push the hardware too much. It started, it had lag. I didn't enjoy it on that platform. I didn't enjoy it on the PS2. But suddenly, when I got it on iPad, it all made sense. I think they actually nailed the controls. I know now you can get the MFI controllers for iOS as well. Apple aren't really, being too loud about that, but you can get normal physical controllers if you prefer that. And this one, together with Tomb Raider, actually supports that. But I enjoyed the touch controls this time around, and I actually enjoyed the sandbox gaming much more now, because having it on a handheld just felt right. I mean, then you are sort of able to live with it being a bit silly at times.
Okay.
That was one of the games I really enjoyed. I can see our technician is trying to find some footage of it.
But let's move on.
Yeah. Oceanhorn.
Yeah. What kind of game is that?
It's basically a Zelda clone.
Okay.
And I wasn't expecting them to deliver. I worked a couple of years on this one, and I think they're like 3 guys on this team. But they did. I mean, everything works, and the controls are so intuitive.
You can see the Zelda look in there for sure.
It's definitely got that look, and it's got dungeons. I mean, just I think 5 minutes into the game, and you're calling through your
They
first
have Uncharted
dungeon.
in the series. What else do you want?
I mean, it's not like you're looking at Wind Waker or anything. It's got a lot of great stuff. Beautiful artwork, and some of the guys that made the music for Final Fantasy also joined to make the music for this game. I really adore the style of this game.
It looks gorgeous.
And the way you control it, everything just works. And I've tried to put a couple of non-gaming friends in front of the iPad with this game, and they're basically just putting the finger down and controlling this little guy. And it works. So that is one of my Game of the Year picks for iOS. Another one would be Rymd af Kapsel. I mean, that's a title that sounds, I mean, it's almost arrogant to go for a Swedish name for a title.
I love that.
And just look at it, it doesn't look impressive in any way.
No, but it does have a special style to it.
It does, and it's amazing. Everything has, everything makes sense. I mean, when they're standing up, these guys, you can see the little white square, that's a guy walking around building. If they don't do anything, they will lie down. And I mean, it's just a block moving, but everything makes sense. And these are the monoliths. You're basically trying to build and manage your resources to actually get to each of these 4 monoliths before your time runs out.
Okay.
Or well, it doesn't run out, but once in a while, aliens will attack, and they get stronger and stronger every time. So it is,
there's that time
it's a race
element.
against time. And you need to research these 4 monoliths, and that's basically it. You could, in theory, complete the game in, I think, 45 minutes, because there's one stage. That's it.
Okay. Is it the same every time, or does it change if you start over?
It doesn't change.
Okay.
It's the same. But you need to be really sure about what you're building and how far do your guys need to walk. You can see there's a garden here, the green one, and the kitchen is the yellow. And
the next time.
Oh yeah, you can build it like you want, and you need to do that because that's the whole gist of the game. I mean, within the first minute, you know exactly what you'll do, and what you need to do, and then suddenly an hour in, you realize, oh no, that's why I kept failing. So this is one of the games I think was really amazing, and I think I spent days on actually getting these 4 monoliths. So that is definitely also a contender for Game of the Year on iOS, and it's out now on PC as well, I think.
And on Android, it said in the trailer.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's out yet on Android, but I hope it is. I think actually Rasmus mentioned that he had played it, so unless it was on PC, yeah, he's an Android guy.
I think it said in the trailer that it was out, but check it if you have an Android device. If it's not out, it should be soon.
Then I've got another game, and that's Starborn Anarchist.
Okay.
It's I held off buying this for about a week or 2, and I mean, look at it. It doesn't look that great, and it's just a simple dual-stick shooter to begin with. But what you realize is that you've got tons of achievements in this game, but all achievements are linked to new engine parts or weapons. So basically, maybe you need to make, let's say, a ship only with lasers.
Okay.
You need to beat the 3rd boss using lasers, and then you will get an upgrade to your ship, and then you need to use that upgrade to beat something else. And there are an achievement for beating the 12 bosses in the game, but actually there's 13, at least that's where I've gotten to now. But it's super simple, and in the beginning your ship really feels like you can't control it.
Okay.
And that's until you realize, like you can see here,
So you're building
that
your ship.
you're building your
yourself.
ship,
Okay.
and you need to manage everything. You know, how much armor do you want? What kind of hull do you want? Do you want energy shields? Do you want laser missiles? Do you want to you know, have fast engines or slower engines? And of course, you open up new blueprints for better spaceships.
Yeah.
As you open up new achievements. So you basically keep playing this forever. And it's just so simple. You sit down the first time and you just play the game, and that's it. And then you realize, I need to build a better ship. And you keep playing. And I think I've clocked in about 30 or 40 hours now on this game.
Okay.
And it's just amazing. It's one guy who made this, and it's crazy. I would buy that. I would recommend that. That is one of my favorite games of the year. The absolute winner, though.
So this is the last final winner and last recommendation for now.
Yes, I would say that.
Yeah.
The absolute winner for me was Asphalt 8 Airborne from Gameloft.
Is that another car game or is it plane?
It's another. It's another flying car game.
Car game.
It's a car game, but if you remember the old Criterion classic Burnout Takedown,
Yes.
This is basically that put on a mobile.
Okay.
It's you've got so much content in this game. You've got an awesome style. You've got a great feeling of the cars. You've got tons of cars, but exactly what they do here, apart from all these things, is that every stage has got so many shortcuts. It's crazy. You're getting to and it's really well designed, because you've got like hairpin turns where suddenly you crash and you realize, oh wow, there was a big rock or something blocking your viewpoint. So you never notice there's actually a shortcut to the left if you just move behind that. And that's one of the I mean, that's one of the things I love so much about this game is maybe you've got 20 shortcuts on the track.
Yeah.
So you need to learn the tracks and you need to do this. There's tons of tracks in it, and what I'm most surprised about is that they actually turned freemium with this game without screwing it up.
Okay.
And that's
in what
amazing.
way? How does the freemium work?
It works like you can buy car packs.
When I buy the game, what do I get?
You get everything you need. You get you get a car to play. You unlock. You've got different objectives that could be like drifting 1,000 meters, and then you get a star for that.
Yeah.
You unlock the next tracks by getting stars.
Okay.
So even if you end up not having money enough to buy the best car, you can still progress in the game, because you can take a look at the rating and say, okay, I need 3 stars. One of the stars is for, it might be 5 stars, I can't remember, but one of the stars is for winning the race. But you're getting a star for making 5 crashes, you're getting a star for drifting, you're getting a star for doing a 180 flip or something with the car, because of course you can do tricks and control your car in the air. So you're always able to progress.
So you play the levels, and in that way you unlock stars, which you use to unlock levels.
And then you unlock more seasons.
And what about cars? How can I unlock those by
you
playing?
Can buy, you earn money in game, and you can buy them with that.
And if you are impatient, you can choose to spend real money on.
Yes, and I think it's quite fair. I think I paid I think about 20 kroners or something for a car pack with 10 cars or something.
Okay.
So it's really not expensive in any ways if you decide to go that way, but you are getting tons of money, and I think there's 8 seasons in the game. I think I got to the 7th season before I was getting to the point where I thought, okay, now I need money. Wow.
And the season is that levels or?
That's a season is maybe I think 20 levels or something.
Okay.
And every game is different. You've got one where you just need to, maybe you need to Burnout Takedown style, crash as many opponents as possible. Maybe you need to do a normal race where you need to get 1 to 3rd. Or maybe you played a new game that is Infected, where basically it's kind of a tag game.
I know that
if
from
you
Call of
get
Duty.
if you get infected, you're much more powerful. You drive faster than anyone else. If you touch those people, they get infected as well.
And then it's about surviving as long as possible.
At some point, you all blow up.
Okay.
So you need to make sure that you don't time it so you'll blow up just before the goal, because of course then someone might overtake you.
Yeah.
So I mean, they just put so much content in. The music is great. Everything looks great. This is definitely one of the best arcade racers I've played in ages, and it's on a mobile. That's insane.
That's great to hear. All right, I think then we'll move into our top 5. For people just joining now, we are running down the GRTV Game of the Year. Of course, all the individual sites will have their own Game of the Year, which they'll announce soon, with multiple categories and all that. But we have decided to let all the editors vote, just like we did last year, and collect those votes. Have made a top 20 Game of the Year. We ran through the 11 through 20 first, in no particular order. We've just done the 6 through 10, which I'll just remind people of if they have joined us
I think
late.
before you're getting to 5,
Yeah.
I'll just let you talk about 5 now,
Yeah.
and I'll go get some prizes.
Okay,
because we've got something for
I'll
that.
run through the 6 through 10 and get to 5, and then Lee will be back in a minute. Number 10 on our list was Tomb Raider. Number 9 on our list was Resogun. Of course, remember the Resogun competition. Add us on Gamereactor Live and play Resogun with us. We'll have that competition in tomorrow. Number 8 on the list, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Number 7 on the list, Beyond Two Souls. Number 6 on the list, Rayman Legends. And number 5, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, a game that came out early in the year and takes a long time to play, so that might have hurt a little bit. I personally think it's a great game, and so do apparently several of our editors, since it's made it into the top 5. Ni no Kuni is a cooperation or made between Level 5 and Studio Ghibli. Ghibli you might know from Miyazaki's film, other directors as well. And personally, I all the way back when I was a kid, I remember I was dreaming about the day that I would have an experience where I could play or experience a world that was one of the Miyazaki films, and this is basically what you're getting with this game. As you can see in the trailer running now, it's gorgeous, and it has that Studio Ghibli Miyazaki look that the films have as well. And then we have the role-playing, the JRPG elements that Level 5 are providing. You play as a little boy called Oliver who lives in the town of Motorville. And early on in the game, I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but he experienced something that he's not happy about. And because of that, he gets a visit by this little fellow called Drippy, which you see with the little bell or little light on his nose. And together with him, you travel to another world, a fantastic world, where you need to go on an adventure to do different things. Of course, you need to learn about yourself and you need to save the world, and maybe you can sort out the problems that you had in your own world. And you travel back and forth a little bit, but of course, most of the game is in this fantastical world where you have a sort of Pokemon-like creature system where they're called familiars in this game. And you train these up to fight, and you help different characters, and there's all these RPG elements you play through the game, and I would really highly recommend that game. It's a bit of a time sink. You really need to put in a lot of hours to finish this game, and if you want 100% in a platinum, I think it's hundreds of hours. But it is a really great experience. Even if you're doubting about it, I would recommend that you just play the first hour or two, because even that beginning of it, I was so emotionally invested, and the first couple of hours go by really quick, and then later you'll have a little bit more of the grinding that you know from RPGs, where you have to train these familiars and learn about different spells and all that. But I highly recommend it. I haven't finished it myself, so I don't know how it ends, but it's one of the games that I hope to finish at some point. I think it's a game you need to sit down and play over or not too long a time. I think it's a game I don't want to stretch over, like play an hour every week. It's a game I hope, on a vacation would be great over Christmas maybe, to really delve into it and experience this amazing world, I think.
I mean, if you're into, you probably said that, but if you're into Ghibli studios and stuff like that, I mean, this is a no-brainer.
That's what I said. Ever since I saw a Ghibli film, a Miyazaki film, when I was like 7 or 8, I had dreams of having, like, I could go into this world and not just watch it for a couple of hours. And now we actually have it here. Yeah. Of course, it came out in late 2011 in Japan, and it finally came out here in the West in early 2013. And that's simply because they chose to spend over a year on localizing it and recording English voices. And I actually had a little bit of a problem. I didn't know which to choose, because of course you want to have the Japanese. That's great, yeah. But the English voices are so great as well, and it's just everything in this game is just amazing. The only negative thing I could say, maybe there is periods where it's a little bit of a grind, and you need to have time to play it, which was why I ended up like stopping, and I'll get back to it, because it really is great. And it's just that look that you can we actually have a game now that has that Studio Ghibli feeling. That's just so amazing. All right, and you brought a little bit of a...
Oh yeah. Just
you should almost have the Santa hat on.
I just bought W2K14. Let's see, where's the camera? It's here.
Hip hop cam. Woohoo! Yeah, do like some.
And I think we are going to let you guys.
I don't know. Yeah.
Write down your goatee.
Yeah. Good idea.
In the chat. And we'll just pick 2 winners, and yeah, let's do that.
So the first person we pick will get to choose.
Yes.
And the second person will get the other game.
Exactly.
So it's just W2K14 is the
yes,
title?
That's the one celebrating 30 years of WrestleMania. It's pretty awesome.
The Rock on the cover. And so we have
But it's got everyone in there. It's got Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and all the old classics.
And we have a PS3 version and a 360 version. And just to reiterate, write your game of the year in the chat. The first one we pick will get to choose if they want the 360 or the PS3 version. And then the second one will get the other version. So we hope that works out. If you don't want it, don't write. But here's a chance to win a little game. So I think I'll just cross out Ni no Kuni. Do you have anything to add on Ni no Kuni? Have you had the chance to play? There was
the only thing I could add is I wish I could add more spare time.
yeah,
because I wanted to play this through. And
I feel so bad myself that I haven't finished it, but it's just I should have finished it when I was starting on it, because now it's like now I know it's like another 40 hours or something, because I'm at least because I'm not gonna do like just rush through it. It's a game like
I don't want to do that either.
No, it's a game you want to have the time to
and
play.
I actually enjoy these kind of games with a bit of grinding in them as well. But I don't know how I'm supposed to get the time. Maybe I will finally during the Christmas holidays.
And it's a game that you can talking about open world and GTA and Assassin's Creed as well. This is a game that you can play with your family running around and and it's actually dealing with like very serious problems, but in a way that you can actually. I don't have a kid myself, but I could imagine this was a way also having talks about serious stuff with your kid about losing people in your life and how to deal with emotions, and it handles that in a very, I think, an amazing way for kids.
And for me, it was doing it in a bit less of a typical Japanese fashion. Sometimes I get really tired of
I'm not a big JRPG fan,
but
and I think this is a JRPG, but it doesn't go like full, so it can be too. And at least for me, this wasn't too much, and it's great characters and a great adventure. So highly recommend it. One of the first trips I was on with Gamereactor was to Tokyo Game Show, and I remember seeing this and hadn't heard about it, and just walking into this room where I was like, this is crazy that we're getting this, and finally it's here. So go play it if this is a thing for you. All right, well, and Lee, I think we'll keep an eye on the chat. So should we move on to the next one and then pick a winner after that?
Sure.
I think that for the number 4, I'm gonna call up David Caballero, our Spanish editor-in-chief. We'll see if he is ready and up for a little chat with us. So yeah, number 5, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, and now we've gotten to GRTV Game of the Year number 4 on the list, so we're getting closer to the top. Some of you guys in the chat and in the stream might also begin to have an idea of what games we're getting to. Hi David, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hola.
Are we good with sound, Lasse?
Party time.
Oh,
it's lag.
lag.
Yeah. Hi David, welcome to Gamereactor Live.
Okay.
I think we can hear you,
Yeah.
but the picture is frozen. Is that true?
Yeah.
Let's call him up again.
Should we? I'll hang up and call again. Of course, I want people to notice in the background what poster he has. David and I always joke about that. Well, you'll see it when I call him back in just a second. He has a poster of one of the greatest games of all time. Can you guess what game that is? And that is completely objective. That's got nothing to do with my opinion or anything.
Infamous.
Yes, infamous poster in the background.
And that
Beautiful.
was so objective. I mean, that's, yeah.
That's not an opinion, that's just facts.
That's,
Hi David, we're just talking about your beautiful infamous poster in the background.
I'm sorry, but Infamous is not winning Game of the Year
No, it is.
2015
It
this
is.
year.
I have the list.
it's on Nick's list. He changed it, you know.
Well, we're currently working on our Game of the Year 2015 special, but this is just a GRTV
Yes,
choice,
that is
right?
true.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as David said, of course, all the countries have their own Game of the Year. But now you're ready to talk about the GRTV Game of the Year number 4 on the list, which is Super Mario 3D World.
Super Mario 3D World. That's right.
Hey.
Go.
All right,
So-
David, why do you think this has made it? This is a pretty good position on the list, really high up. One of the great games of the year.
Yeah, it might sound weird considering the number of Mario games we're getting the last couple of years, but I think it's even more impressive due to that because this EAD studio, EAD Tokyo studio, is just crazy about creativity, and they managed to get a lot of innovations and new ideas on the levels, and this shows that you don't need to fly up to the galaxy to get some crazy mechanics and crazy situations. And then, of course, we have a lot of new items and new suites. So it's just crazy that they managed to do that again.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about what are the new things in this game?
Yeah, obviously the new things, the most notable things you can notice. The first is you have a lot of items. You even have a Goomba head you can use so they don't catch you. You have the cat street, which is new, and the cat street mechanic is really nice because it's not unbalanced. So you can, it's not like you're always going to win when you're like a cat. It's pretty balanced. But aside from this kind of more obvious stuff and the multiplayer aspect, I think there are the mechanics on especially on the later worlds, because they keep surprising you, and they're really tough and really difficult when you get to the last worlds.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed, I've only played a little bit, mainly with Thomas here in the office, was there was something where you could get multiple Marios.
Yeah, that's another. That's like a cherry that clones you, and you can get, I think, up to 5 or 6 versions of yourself, and things get crazy because if you want them aligned, you have to go against the wall, and then you have them aligned, and then you control your little army of Marios or Peaches or even Rosalinas, and then you try to not lose them, so you get more points when you get to the pole at the end. So that's crazy. And
cool.
Yeah, for example, you also have the transparent pipes. It's especially in multiplayer is love guaranteed, because maybe you're running one way and then your partner to the other way, and then the enemies, and then the fireballs all at the same time, and that's something really new to the series.
Cool. And it is great that we finally get a proper new Mario, get it in HD on the Wii U, and the Wii U really needs games like this to have a chance in the competition with the other machines.
Yeah, I think the Mario is one. Maybe multiplayer is not the best thing about this Mario. It's the biggest new thing, but not the best thing, because sometimes the camera zooms out not enough, and then you don't have a clear overview like you have from the 2D games. But it's something innovative. It's something new, and it also proves that if you are getting along with your friends and sharing some beers and sharing some social party, obviously the Wii U is the best choice with this and Rayman and Wii Party U and other multiplayer local games. I think it's the best option.
Okay, and you also wanted to talk a little bit about a couple other games that didn't make the top list here. What other games can you recommend?
Just closing with Mario, I just think this Koizumi-san is the new Miyamoto, so I just hoping to see something new from that studio.
Agreed.
Other games I would highly recommend now that Fire Emblem has been stolen by Gillen. So
Number 11 on the list.
Fire Emblem is just the evolution of chess for me. I mean, you can get sunk a lot of hours, and then it's super deep and make it just perfect. And this is the best entry to start. But a more obscure game I have to recommend, and for us is pretty important this year because it came out this year in Spain. I think in other countries it happened the same. Is Virtue's Last Reward.
Yeah, and you keep hammering me about that I need to play that on my Vita. And
I will
eventually.
Keep hammering me about Infamous. So.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Virtue's Last Reward. Why is that a great game?
Well, mainly because of its story. It's dark, difficult to grasp, deep stuff about. It's science fiction, and this topic world is almost depressing. But if you like science fiction, you like Michael Crichton, or you like Christopher Nolan films. This is full of mind-blowing stuff, and even quantum physics stuff. And if you like parallel universes and those kind of theories, this is implemented into the game as a visual novel and a puzzle game. So it's especially the ending. After many hours enjoying the story, it's just mind blowing. So this Uchikoshi-san, after 999, which is his game for DS and iOS, etc. This Virtue's Last Reward for PS Vita and 3DS, which came out this year in some countries, is one of the best stories of the year by far.
Cool. All right. Anything else to add, David, before we move on to the next one?
No, just enjoy the Game of the Year selection and have a nice Christmas and a Happy New Year from Spain.
You too, David.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. All right, and we'll move straight into another of our friends from that area. We'll call up Ricardo from Gamereactor Portugal. Yeah? What? Oh yeah, I'm moving way too much ahead. I'm sorry. It's good we have Lasse behind the camera to keep me on my feet. We have made a little video with some developers that were talking about Game of the Year as well, I think. So we're going to run that video now, and then maybe we'll talk about it afterwards. So cue the video. Let's see if we have it here. You can see we have Lars Bunde, who works on Watch Dogs, start out his talk. See if we have the video ready. there we have it.
No sound. We're waiting.
We're waiting.
Or we could do the whole Mystery Science Theater 3000.
The what?
Mystery Science Theater.
What is that?
Where we are sort of doing the voiceover.
Oh, yeah. We can reenact the interviews or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know whatever voice you're using will be recommending Infamous again.
That's true.
Yeah. I know we're working on Watch Dogs,
but I think you should really play Infamous instead.
Again.
Yeah. No, but what we did was with this video is we, of course, on GRTV do interviews throughout the year and talk to all these great developers, work on different games and have different experiences there, and they are from different countries. And we decided to ask them all. If I remember correctly, this was that we asked them all about Game of the Year as well and what games they would recommend.
And a game that wasn't from their own company.
Yeah, and then Lasse and Solfin cut that together to a nice little video that fits perfectly with our Game of the Year talk, that they get a chance to talk about what games they think.
I think it's great you can always feel that they actually really are passionately about games, not their own games, but they like games.
Exactly, it's really great to, because some of it can sometimes, even though it's not, you can be in doubt whether it's just another PR talk. When you hear them talk about something that, why would they, they have no All right, so they're working on that behind the camera.
Then I will pick. Oh,
are we ready to run the video? Yes. Okay, so little video, Game of the Year from different developers, and we'll see if that works now. This time with sound.
So what's your Game of the Year?
There's been a few good ones. I worked a lot, so I haven't played as much as I would have liked to. I played GTA and I've played The Last of Us and some other games. But I really appreciate what Naughty Dog does with The Last of Us. I think the story and how they present everything is something to admire, and it's something I strive to improve on as much as we can for our production as well.
My Game of the Year is probably Dota 2, actually. We've been playing it a lot in the office, and everyone's gotten on board, and it's been a learning experience as we play it. But it's a great game with a lot of depth, and it just is fun as you keep coming back to it.
This is a tough question to really answer directly, but being completely honest, one of my favorite games this year was Monster Hunter from Capcom. It's a game that I've picked up. I play with my wife very frequently, so as much as it's difficult to say, I think Monster Hunter from Capcom is one of my favorites this year. I too personally like Monster Hunter as well. I've brought it on this trip for me, and we do play with my colleagues. But one of the things I'm looking forward to is God Eater 2. It will be released in Japan, I think next month. And there is one of the titles I'm looking forward to, and I'm fully behind. Looking forward to playing it.
What's your Game of the Year?
I'd say Kentucky Route Zero, I think. It's a good mix of good writing and interesting story, and I really like the visuals too. It's a unique and really atmospheric, cool game, I think. Yeah.
My Game of the Year is relatively short because we've been so busy, as Reza said. I liked the Stanley Parable because it was just so quirky, and you could just go into the game and play it for a bit and get a really strange experience, and then just leave it and come back, and it was a good experience.
So the game I personally enjoyed the most is Sound Shapes, and I'm not sure if it was released this year or last year, but it's coming to PS4 again, so we could say it's this year. And what I really like about Sound Shapes is that it combines, it's like the game that I think combines music and sort of gameplay in the best possible way. I haven't seen any other example that does it so well, where the actions you do in the game really influence the music. So, and yeah, I'm personally a big fan of music games, and yeah, it's like the best achievement I've seen so far.
The game I easily spent the most amount of time with over the last year or so would have to be Daisy. I have invested way too many hours on that game. So by definition, that has to be Game of the Year.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5. Any reason?
あそこまでのやっぱり広大なフィールドで自由度の高い、ゲームができるのが非常に面白いと思います。
It was really surprising, like such, variety, field and stages, and you have so much freedoms. That's amazing.
I would say Tomb Raider, and mostly because I wasn't at all hyped for that game. I just bought it because I found it really cheap, and it surprised me in a very, very good way. So I think they've done a really nice adventure thing with it.
I would say that the one that stands out among all other titles right now for me is Papers, Please. Because it's just such an outrageously awesome concept and the execution is just flawless. So yeah, it must be Papers, Please.
I would say that The Last of Us is most probably the most impressive game from the last year. I mean, the story and the gameplay were definitely something that I haven't experienced before. But I also I spend most of my time playing FIFA, and I think they constantly proved how amazing game development can be when you have a chance to iterate on an annual basis on something that's so difficult, like recreating a sport.
We have worked a lot quite lately, so I haven't been able to play that much. But if I had to choose, it would be Shadowrun Returns. It's an amazing game, and everybody should play it.
All right, and we're back, done with a great little video. I hope you enjoyed it. Les and Solfin worked really hard on that. And before we move on to the next part, we have a couple of winners in the competition we're running.
Yep, we have picked Emil Nissen and Cyborg. And well, I suggest that you two guys, I know you're Danish readers, so send me a PM and tell me which game, which format you do want. And I'll just, cross my fingers. If you don't care which format you give, send me a PM saying you don't care.
Yeah.
And I will just see what the other guy wants. Or you can talk together in the chat. It's all fine by me.
Yeah, and then we'll sort out the rest. But remember to sort it out afterwards. PM Lee, and then we'll sort it out. And with that, we'll move on to number 3. And with that, we'll call up our, which I tried to before. I'm so eager to talk to him. Our Portuguese editor-in-chief, Ricardo Esteves.
Our newest guy.
Yes, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe he can correct me. Hello, Ricardo.
Hello, welcome.
Okay, I have to just fix the sound.
Like
Let's see.
We can't hear you, but hang on.
Can you hear me?
How is the sound? Okay, we got sound.
Yep.
Welcome to the stream, Ricardo.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to finally be a part of Gamereactor TV.
Yeah.
I'm the Gamereactor newbie.
Yes. All right, before we get to number 3, do you have any highlights yourself that you want to talk about before we enter the top 3?
Yes, I'm kind of shocked. Persona 4 Golden and StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm aren't higher on the list.
Yeah.
I think they were great games. And I know they are special cases because one is a re-release and the other one is an expansion. But if you look at them objectively, they are really, really good games,
Yeah,
true. So I'm sure they are higher on the list.
I think that might be the reason why they're not there. And Persona, I could think is also because not a lot of people have simply played it. I haven't played it myself, but everybody I know who have played it says it's their at least their Vita game of the year and one of their games of the year, if not the best one of this year. So.
But it's again one of the games where you need tons of time, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also a big Infamous fan, by the way.
Hey, my friend Ricardo. Good to hear. We always have room for extra Infamous fans. All right, let's move on to the top 3. Number 3 on the list is Bioshock Infinite, and that's also a game that you really enjoyed, right, Ricardo?
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot, but I'm not sure I enjoyed it as much as most people. Um, I say this because I think that story-wise and character-wise and world-wise, I think it's a very ambitious game. But I feel like the gameplay isn't as ambitious as the rest of the game. I think these characters and this world begs for a bolder gameplay approach. You know what I mean. It's a very good shooter. I think
I definitely
it
know what you
something
mean.
more than
And we've got a lot of discussion here in the offices about that, where I said that I also felt it was sort of a repetitive roller coaster, and the Vegas didn't make that much of a change, and I ended up playing with, I think, the same 2 or 3 Vegas, and I didn't really enjoy that. I absolutely loved the story, but the gameplay I don't think was up to the rest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat, but I think no matter what, you can't really argue with, as Ricardo said, the ambition. It's so ambitious, and they're really trying stuff, and the story and the world building in this game is amazing. And this could, in a lot of years, could have won Game of the Year. And it's great to see a guy like Ken Levine really, have this vision for a big project like this. And it's going to be interesting to see what, as far as I understand, he's doing films now. So to see what he does with that, you can definitely tell stories.
I think it's just a shame because, like you said, it's just such an ambitious world and an ambitious story. Then the gameplay just feels like a good shooter. It should be more than that.
Yeah, maybe that's the real problem for the game, is that some of it is so good that even though the rest is actually pretty good, it's just a little bit of a disappointment because it's not like a 10 out of 10 for everyone, and then you're a little bit disappointed. I think it'll be interesting to revisit this game in next year or something, to see how it is, because it's also, I talked about this in one of the other days, where for me it was also the whole build up to the release, where the trailers look so amazing. What you heard Ken Levine say about the game, when you started hearing the reviews, there's so many 10s out of 10 that the expectations were just so high that it's almost impossible for the game to live up to that.
But I would love to replay this on a PS Vita.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be quite the perfect fit, because I mean, it doesn't have a lot of great shooters, so that would already be a plus, and it's still got that amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. But the game also has one of my favorite moments of the year.
Okay.
Do you remember the part where Joel picks up a guitar and Elizabeth sings a song?
Yeah.
And he gives an apple to a little kid. I think it was just magic.
Yeah, I think I think you can actually miss that part.
Yes,
you can walk past it, but I feel lucky enough that I got to see that as well. Really great moment.
The game has these special touches and special moments, and I think that's why people loved it so much.
Yeah, I think it really pays off to go explore the world as well and find some of these, because there's a lot of extra details that makes the game even better, and maybe that's the best part of the game. It kind of rewards you for putting effort into your experience yourself. Where I think if you rush through it, you get more of the just shooter elements, which is not as great as the story.
I wish they had made it a bit more difficult to overcome some of the enemies, or made it clear that you needed to use another kind of vehicles or stuff like that to make it feel a bit more complicated, and then I would definitely have loved it. But at the moment, I was ending up being too lazy and just rushing through it with the same Vegas, and that was the letdown for me. Yeah. But other than that, amazing game and amazing soundtrack.
Yes, absolutely.
And clearly enough people in our in Gamereactor love it enough for it to be number 3 on our list. Thanks for joining us, Ricardo. Do you have anything to add before we move on?
I just wanna wish Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all Gamereactor's readers and viewers. Have fun, play games.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Thanks for joining us, Ricardo.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
All right, and that was number 3 on the list. And now we're really getting into the exciting part. And for that, we're going to call Gillen back. See if he is ready to talk with us again. Gillen McAllister. Are you there, Gillen?
I am indeed. How are you guys doing?
Good. Oh, you're scared.
Wow,
me now.
you've got a haircut.
Let me just see here. I'm just gonna.
Looks
make
great.
Sure, we're gonna make sure the
It's
audio
better
works.
than the real thing, I have to say, right there.
All right, I think we're good. Let's just see here. All right, Gillen, have you followed the stream? Have you heard what the list is?
I have been jumping in and out.
Okay.
Seems to be bringing up a fair few discussions, a few disgruntlements about games that have not appeared on the stream.
Yeah, I think that's always how it is. You always have your personal picks. So Bioshock Infinite was number 3, and now we're at number 2, and that's a game that I know you love as well. GTA 5.
Yes, I think much deserved as well. Given all the hype and everything like that, it could be easy to sort of forget about what a great game it is as well. I was thinking about this before I came back on, where Nick, you and I sort of discussed other games like Bioshock and Last of Us, and we said Last of Us is like a zombie documentary, Bioshock Infinite is the sci-fi poem.
Yeah.
And GTA is the carnival roller coaster that you just do not want to get off. I think it's a very exciting, insane game that can sicken you at times, but as soon as you get off that wonderful ride, you're like, I want to get back on, try some more.
Yeah, there's also some, for me, if we go into that talk, a little bit of reality TV over it, where it really shows some of how our world really is and comments on it, and it's some of it is I mean, GTA is popular, but it's something where it's a little bit looked down upon, some of it, but still you can't help but play it, and some of the craziness in the game, and the whole like shooting a lot of people, but still people can't help but do it and have fun with that sort of stuff.
Well, Rockstar said they've sort of matured their writing for this one, but it is very much still that story of LA excess that anybody that has been in the city and in around that area can certainly agree with. But I find it quite interesting, whereas previous GTAs, I didn't really care about the world per se, where I would, like you said, go around to shoot people. And within about half an hour, I got really bored, put the thing down. I find with this one, the realism was so well done that I actually paid attention to stop signs. I took corners correctly. I avoided pedestrians. I almost played it as a sim as opposed to this very crazy do what you want sandbox world. And I think that certainly paid dividends for how much I cared about the characters. I was interested to see how initially they really only introduce you to Michael and Franklin and make their stories sort of the duality of their stories, where Michael's the retired thief living in luxury, Franklin's trying to make his way in the world, to sort of reiterate that this is as much of a serious story as GTA could do in the framework of what the series is all about. And they only really introduced Trevor, the crazed psycho of the group, very late on, to that point that you've learned the rules and regulations of the world. And when Trevor comes in, you're going, all right, now I'm going to have a bit of fun. And you enjoy it a lot more because of that.
Yeah. I will say I've never been a big GTA fan, but this is definitely, I think they've improved on a lot of the stuff that made me not, of the things that made me not enjoy older GTAs. So I'm definitely interested in playing this way more. I've basically only played it when we've streamed it or recorded the gameplay, so that I'm really looking forward to jumping into it and getting the full experience. But I think actually because we're a little bit short on time, we need to move on.
All right.
But deserving of the second place, and I know number 1 on a lot of people's list. I'm just very quickly going to run down our top 10 before we get to number 1. So number 10 was Tomb Raider. Number 9, Resogun. Number 8, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Number 7, Beyond Two Souls. Number 6, Rayman Legends. Number 5, Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Number 4, Super Mario 3D World. Number 3, Bioshock Infinite. Number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. And number 1, maybe not a big surprise when you've heard the other titles, but our number 1 is The Last of Us.
Indeed.
So, Gillen, Last of Us, a game that you also enjoyed quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yes. I had finished it on a Friday, and I originally scored it a 9 and spent the next 48 hours really rethinking over my journey over those 18 hours, what I'd seen and what I'd done. And I came back into the office on Monday, this is just before the magazine shipped, and just went, no, that deserves a 10. And it wasn't much of an argument for getting a 10. I think it was totally deserved. And one point I made in the review, and I still make to this day, if this had just been an interactive movie, because we always talk about the cutscenes and the relationship between Ellie and Joel, if this had been an interactive movie, yes, it would have been commended, but it would be nowhere near the top of our Game of the Year lists. Naughty Dog, remember, and we see that this is as much of a game as it is a movie.
Yeah.
Those 18 hours, 17 of those are spent shitting your pants, trying to scavenge for items, and basically entering every encounter with that sort of tense perspiration of, am I actually going to survive this? And be that zombies, or should I say the infected, or be that just normal people. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I remember spending so much, I noticed, because I was playing it, showing it to other people, and I noticed then that I spent a lot of the times like cursing and saying no and being scared and, oh, this is horrible, this part. And then they're like, but didn't you say this was a great game? All I was doing, I was just complaining and saying how horrible I felt playing it. But
that's what I love.
I mean, amazing experience.
So many shooters or so many games in general make you just see endless hordes of enemies, and you just don't care. I mean, here, if you heard that sound going,
that might have been my phone.
and you just knew there might be 2 or 3 clickers, and oh shit, I'm in trouble. And I really loved that you are so afraid all the time.
Yeah.
That you were scared if you knew there were a couple of enemies around, and it felt like a great game at these parts. And as you say, it wasn't just an interactive movie, it was actually a game with a fantastic story.
I could only play this game about an hour, maybe 2 at a time, and then I had to turn it off because I couldn't take how intense it was. It
is a very haunting game. It's a very depressing game as well.
What, Gillen?
I was saying it's a very haunting experience, and it's a very depressing game as well. Saying about the brutality of the combat, you never once stopped flinching when you went in, when you had a melee attack someone for your own survival.
Yeah.
Sickening. Like Lee said, you never got used to it, you never got immune to it, you never thought, fuck, I feel powerful, I feel cool here.
That's so true.
You felt really bad, but you knew it was basically you're them.
Yeah. It really delivers on what we talked earlier about what Tomb Raider tried, about that first kill and how that works. Here you pretty much feel it all the way through, that you don't want to kill people, and there's areas where you can sneak by enemies and you think, do I want to do it? But it's also, if I sneak by, will they hear me afterwards and come after me? And
at the same time, I think some of the more epic moments in the game are the ones where nothing is happening, where everything is quiet, and you're finally able to sort of breathe that, go like, oh, that's a relief. I
actually think that's the best moments, because when
you're just standing there being quiet, and those moments
in fact,
they're everything David Cage always want us to experience, and he just does it here. I mean, not David Cage.
Well,
Naughty Dog.
That was we were talking about our favorite gaming moments of 2013 for a list we're doing at the end of the year, and with not giving any spoilers away for those people that are still to play The Last of Us, but the entirety of the winter section that is third act, like sort of like near the end of the game, phenomenal. Not only visually stunning, I think Last of Us comes along with GTA 5 in one of those arguments. Who needs next gen when you've got stuff this good on PlayStation 3?
Yeah, but then think about what will Naughty Dog be doing with PS4 now. That's just, if they can do this with a PS3, what can they do with a PS4? It's going to be amazing.
That's true. First of all, they just need to re-release this, and I'll buy it again. That's just the deal. That's a promise.
Yeah.
But,
and you talking about those quiet moments, I actually think that was pretty much the best moments in the game. I remember I got scared when it was quiet, because it was like, no one has attacked me and nothing has happened in a long while. It's too quiet. That scared me as well. And as I hinted off before, I set the clicker sound as my text tone, and so it was really fun to be at here in the office or with friends. And when I got a text, you could tell who had played The Last of Us, because they would get freaked out when they heard that sound, even though they haven't played the game for months. And actually, a thing we haven't really talked about with Last of Us, I think the multiplayer is actually pretty great as well, and managed to deliver, although not I think
Do
as
something
great. It had that feeling as well of the gritty and being rough and intense, and you like when you kill people in multiplayer, it was also like it wasn't just like when I play Call of Duty and just shoot someone. It also feels like it matters.
I had that sort of like communal feel about it, even though it was only really in the menus between matches. But that whole idea of you're feeding your group, and if you fail at matches, some of your group become infected, some die, some get sick. I love that sort of progressive nature.
Yeah,
of
the
it.
whole meta game with that. Yeah, for sure. All right, I think we are running out of time. Actually, a little bit over. So, Gillen, thank you for joining us, and thank you guys
Thank
in
you
the
again.
stream. I think a very deservedly Last of Us winner, Game of the Year for GRTV. Remember to check your local Gamereactor site for the local Game of the
Yes,
Year.
and that's during the Christmas holidays, and you get unique content on every site because all the sites have, of course, different opinions.
So maybe check multiple sites if you understand the languages. And there is also list not just Game of the Year, but also like other awards.
Different categories like music and sound technique, co-op, download, and again, a lot of different categories, including in our case, worst game of the year, stuff like that.
So be sure to check that out and be back with us tomorrow with our final stream before the Christmas break, where we will look ahead to next year for games to look for, and we'll end our Resogun competition. But thank you guys for joining. GRTV Game of the Year, Last of Us. So happy. Game of the Year, Game of the Year. See you guys tomorrow.